Welcome in, everybody, to Inside the Burrow. Robbie LaStella here as a host now. I've moved over from the analyst role. Happy to be here with you guys for the first episode of this calendar athletic year alongside the great Ken LaVicka and Mike Birdman, two dynamic co-hosts today alongside me. Guys, how's it going?
Oh, great.
Awesome, man. Wait, am I great too, or is it just Ken?
It's just me, but maybe by the end, Birdman, you can have some of the greatness wash over you. And I love you, and that should be enough.
I love you too.
Yeah.
One of my longtime friends.
Hey, August 30th, prime time, Big Ten country, making a return to East Lansing. If you can't get up for that, you got no pulse. Just quit watching football. Come on, boys.
Mike's ready to go. He's got the helmet. He's ready to shoot
ready,
up.
Man. Herman says I'm going to get some playing time this year. So
like Jackson ambush. I love
it. You got some linebacker in you, Mike. Mike, what we got? We got 3 helmets back there, Mike. We got to show them off. Maybe not today, maybe another time. But what do we got? What do we got there?
This is part of my FAU collection. My collection actually consists of 6 helmets. 3 of them are here in my office. I think we have 1 at home, 1 in Katie's office, and I got 1 up there.
What's your preferred? What's the greatest FAU football helmet of all time? Let's quickly do this. Let's do this. Come on.
Let's start off with the back.
Like the greatest design of all time.
Yeah, the one that
means the most.
Yeah.
I honestly.
All right. So the state of Florida logo with the number on the side. I'm with you, Birdman. Like, I think that the number on the side helmets, whether it's that version's better than I did not like the extended owl wing logo that we had
because the logo was too big to fit in such a small space for it to look good. Yeah,
things changed. I think the dynamic changed and improved when you had the state of Florida logo. But I love the palm tree. I absolutely love.
I like the white helmet with the blue palm tree on the side too. When they do that,
absolutely.
I think there's a good balance with the white helmet, though, because you get the people who want the numbers happy, and then you also have the logo to kind of stand out. So I think there's a good mix.
Yeah, and I think a white helmet is still a rarity in the grand scheme of things. And I like when we go white helmet because, again, there's something clean about a white helmet. And when you're one of the few schools that regularly feature a white helmet, it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's super clean look, too. And the white with the blue and a touch of red on our helmet.
Man,
that shiny metallic blue on the flat white helmet.
Absolutely.
Whoever designed that and put that together, awesome. I heard a rumor though about this year.
We're going to get to see some of these uniforms in action very, very soon. The season is just underway, as Ken was talking about just a minute ago. Fall camp is over now. It's all gears into Michigan State, but throughout the offseason, kind of noticed that culture shift a little bit. Talked about from a bunch of guys. Ken, Mike, do you really think this is a chance to be kind of a clean slate season?
Yeah, I mean, this year, I've been looking forward to this season since the end of last year because, I mean, if you listen to what Coach Herman's been saying, and I know Ken's going to be able to elaborate on this way more than me because this is his wheelhouse, but Herman's been looking forward to this season also because he's had a chance to kind of evaluate what he's had and get rid of some of the, I guess what did he say, Ken? Did he say cancer one time or something?
I think just from I think that the term is really buy-in, and the big the big message from Tom Herman, even going back to before the spring, was that there are guys who chose this coaching staff or guys who have decided to buy in to this coaching staff. There's no holdovers from the previous regime. Right. There's no, I'm just here because this was my only option. This is truly 100% both feet in. I want to be here. This is the coach I want to play for. This is the school I want to hoist a trophy with, and so from a clean slate perspective though, Robbie, it has to be a clean slate season because when you bring back single-digit percentage of your yards from a year ago on offense, returning production, and less than half of your total tackles from a year ago, that's the only definition you can use. That's the only proper way to describe it is clean slate. So, yes, this is absolutely win or lose, clean slate, and you figure out if you brought in the guys that are able to get you to, at the very least, 6 wins. And I want to make it abundantly clear because I think that you have a tendency to fans have a tendency to drop the what have you done for me lately? And I think that every fan base goes through this. I'm not just singling out FAU, but oh, look at this. It could be an 8-win schedule, a 9-win schedule. Relax. If you get to play one extra football game after the regular season concludes, that is a win that is putting this program on the right trajectory. That is going to be, to me, that's the goal. Play more than 12 football games. That's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do. No, I was just going to say, I think I was one of those people. I still am. I think 8 wins is attainable. I think that, if things click the way that Tom Herman and co wants it to click, the schedule's there for it. And we, like you said, the talent that they brought in this year is the team that Tom Herman wants there. So the aspects to a successful, more than 6-win season are there, but it's also kind of that first year where it's his guys. So there are going to be bumps in the road, but I do think 6-6 is really, if they can get that this season, it's putting the program back on I
think 6-6. My prediction was 6-6 in a bowl appearance, win or lose the bowl game is a successful season. I think.
Berman, the way I look at it, this football program has played in 5 bowl games all time since its inception in 2001. I ain't picky. Just get me to a bowl game, right? Fans should be saying, just get me to a bowl game. And another part to this is USF is acting as if they have one foot in the college football playoff already after playing one of the easiest schedules in the country a year ago and squeezing barely 6 wins out of that. And then they beat Syracuse and their tight end quarterback in the Boca Bowl, and suddenly it's full speed ahead. We're going to the Big Ten. So you just look at perception and belief and what going to a bowl game and winning a bowl game. Nobody remembers, like at USF, it's amnesia. They forget 56-14 at Raymond James Stadium. They're hinging all their hopes on the fact they got to a bowl game and won that bowl game over half a team, and suddenly they're feeling like we can win the American. And you know what? That's fine because there's belief now. What I'm saying is that can easily apply to FAU where we're sitting here next year after a 7-6 year. And again, do I think 8 or 9 wins could happen? Absolutely. Like, I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that if it doesn't, there is plenty of evidence to say this is on the right track instead of, should have done better, and being negative about it. That's my whole point with saying, hey, 6 wins is okay if there's just 6 wins.
I think if we win 6 games, go to a bowl game, it's a huge success. I think anything more than that is like just icing on the cake. I don't think there's any need to panic with 6 wins.
No.
6 wins is a successful season, especially coming off of what we were dealing with the past 4 years.
And Robbie, as well as anybody, and Coach Herman's talked about it a lot. You turn half of those 1-score games around a year ago, and this is a completely different conversation about FAU football and where this program is right now.
Yeah, we'll be acting like USF.
And you mentioned USF, and like I feel like a lot of the hype comes around their offense, which is it's really fast paced, and they've got Byron Brown back there, who's that fast quarterback. And now FAU has a chance to have I'm not going to say Byron Brown type quarterback, but a quarterback that can move the ball with his legs and pass the ball, have that explosive side to the offense. Where last year against USF, that offense was very explosive. But I think that FAU's offense has a chance to have, that kind of flashiness to it at times with Cam running it and passing it, which I think is going to, help this season out and also add that kind of luster to it. But, in terms of historical, I can't, the only real true dual threat kind of guy that I've seen FAU have is Jaquez Johnson, a little bit from Driscoll there in the Lane era, but has FAU really had, a guy who's with success, be able to do the dual threat type of thing?
Yeah, someone who has actually been an extended period of time starting quarterback. It's Quez, it's Driscoll, It was Robinson when
I was going to say Robinson.
For him. I mean, remember,
Robinson was good. He was a good quarterback.
Robinson had legs, but he's not improvising that, right? Like the pocket doesn't collapse, and then he's getting outside and doing magical dances with his feet. Driscoll was more that. Anytime you have 6 rushing touchdowns against Old Dominion like Driscoll did, you can count him as a dual threat quarterback, and he fit Lane Kiffin's system well in 2017, what they were trying to do. He relied on his legs until he finally figured out his passing game, and things really got going once they won that game at Western Kentucky. And from there, it was full speed ahead, and there was nobody who could game plan for Driscoll. But in terms of true dual threats, there's Quez, and it's because he was a big, bulky bruiser. He's taken tacklers down. He is a massively, he was a fullback playing quarterback, basically, with a monster rocket arm. And then Driscoll, to an extent, Robinson. But as far as speed and athleticism is concerned, and guys, it's not close. It's not close. Cam Fancher is the most athletic quarterback and certainly the fastest quarterback in the history of Florida Atlantic. And again, it's him, and then you're talking different universe, different galaxy type stuff with everybody else.
That's awesome.
The speed is there also, but I mean, like I was watching some of his highlight tape from Marshall, and we haven't really get to see this because Tom Herman is not letting Cam Fancher bull over tacklers in the spring, but he has a willingness to lower his shoulder and go at defenders when he's running. And I'm sure no one wants to see that on FAU.
Yeah, I'm sure Tom Herman is probably hoping that he decides not to go that route. But you're right. He'll take a hit. Ideally, you don't want him to. The thing with Cam, the way he runs, and I know, Robbie, you've seen this up close and in person. Birdman, you're going to see it all season long. It's not this quick, choppy step speed that sometimes you see. If you look at his body and you're not looking at the ground, you don't think Cam Fancher is running all that fast. But it's the way he glides in his long strides, and that gives him the ability to change direction. And it's difficult to gauge, if you're a tackler, where he's going or how quickly he's coming up on you. That's the true running advantage for Cam Fancher. It's extremely unique.
Yeah, it comes from the track background. I think he was a triple jump in Ohio, I think. So, he's got that track background to him, and it helps. I mean, that's why I've always wanted FAU to add that men's track program, because you get so many more athletes that are just coming to play track, and then you find them. And Cam's not that type of guy that you just find, but those type of athletes that participate in track are very translatable to football, and it helps a lot of times.
It's really nice and refreshing as a fan, knowing that we're going into the season with a really, really athletic, good quarterback that has kind of like the whole package, right? Like it feels right. It feels right,
There's a reason that Cam Fancher was sought after, even after some injury issues last year, and his numbers weren't as prolific as they were the season before when he started at Marshall. But the complete package is there. It's just a matter of keeping them on the field and putting them in a position to make good decisions, which they have. And this is a deep receiver room. This is, and I am crossing my fingers, a deep running back room, because there were times last year where FAU had one healthy, serviceable running back. It spoke nothing of the talent in the room and everything about the fact that injuries just ravaged it. So if you even stay a modicum healthy in the backfield, that's going to help Cam Fancher be able to lead this offense to much greater things than what was accomplished in 23.
Yeah, you mentioned all the pieces that they've added at the skill positions. Offense is rebuilt. Defense, though, also rebuilt a little bit. A lot of more retention probably on the defensive side of the ball, but also some pieces that have come in there this offseason, including 2 guys in that secondary that have really stood out to me as game changers defensively for FAU. And a lot of people might be sleeping on them, but not anymore after 247 named CJ Hurd to their defensive All-American list, and also Bugs Brown. I believe he just got the Senior Bowl invite for FAU. So both
not
of them,
the invite, but he's on the watch list.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that was awesome to see. That was awesome to see. I think just 2 days ago that came out, right? They dropped that.
Well, let me give you the so let's start with CJ Hurd real quick. I mean, what a man. What an absolute freak this guy is. He pops out immediately when you see him on the field because he's big and he's bulky and he's fast and he's blowing people up. And then you're like, who's that number one guy? Like, oh, he's a true freshman. Excuse me? He is an absolute monster. And you mentioned the 247 preseason freshman All-American list, Robbie. And he's the only group of 5 member player on this list. Everybody else is either SEC or Big Ten or Big 12. You've got Alabama, you've got Ole Miss, you've got Tennessee, and then there's FAU. CJ Hurd, and he's someone that had come down to Colorado and UCLA, and Chip Kelly ended up leaving to take over the offense at Ohio State, and CJ Hurd was sort of, I don't know, and then this relationship grew with him and FAU. He's going to go down. If he stays healthy, he's going to go down as one of the single greatest recruiting coups in the history of FAU. I mean, what an absolute monster CJ Hurd is. There's no way you look at him, meet him for the first time, and you think to yourself, 18 years old. He is a genetic freakazoid.
Yeah, no, that was, I'm glad you were there for the day that he came into press conference, because that was probably one of the best press conferences I've seen all summer. Just hearing the fact, his 4:30 a.m. wake up call is interesting in his own. But deeper than that, he used to get up at 4:30 a.m. to drive his mom to work. So there's that other side to him, that personal side. You understand where he's coming from a little bit, and you understand why he wants to succeed on that football field a little bit. And he's got like you said, one of the most potential in FAU history defensively.
Bergman, how old were you when you woke up at 4:30 the first time?
Honestly,
not stayed up till, but woke up.
I haven't seen 4:30 in a long time, but I was about to say, that is an awesome habit to have as a human being. Getting up early and getting things done in the morning. It kind of sets you up for success, to be honest.
Well, now that I'm 40 and I'm an old washed man, I am an early riser, and that's the only way I get anything done as an old washed man. Because once 5:30 hits, I'm a disaster and I can't do anything, and I have no energy, and I'm lifeless after that. So what CJ Hurd is doing and his routine,
he's much younger than us, man.
Yeah.
He's much younger than us. But my wife and I, we both get up. She's up earlier than me. I have to admit, Katie is a beast when it comes to work ethic and getting up early to go to the gym or whatever she's doing in the morning. 6 a.m. Not pretty much. That's kind of when I wake up. 6:30 latest. Walk the dogs, get stuff done before work. It makes you a successsul person, I think. So if anyone could pick up a new habit, try and get up a little earlier. You get stuff done, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was impressive, but also what's been impressive to me out there has been Bugs Brown. Yeah. I was talking to this with somebody the other day. I don't know if FAU is – I've never seen it have a 6'3" boundary corner on the outside. He could defend in terms of his coverage. I'm sure it's solid. I don't know specifics, but I'm sure he can, with that size, compete with a lot of wide receivers in the country. And he's looked that way in practice. He's got speed to him. And then opposite him is Day Hill, who just made Bruce Feldman's freaks list. So we've got a 6'3" corner on one side, and then Day on the other side, who's one of the more athletic corners in the country. So I think FAU's DB room and cornerback safeties area has a chance to be top in the AAC, maybe all of G5.
Yeah, we've had improvements all around, which is outstanding. 6'3" corners, like pro size. So that's
right.
That's incredible.
It's tough at the group of 5 level to recruit 6'2", 6'3" corners.
Yeah,
they're hard to find in and of themselves, period. But then especially at the group of 5, and so. To be able, and Robbie, he came from Maine, right?
Maine, yeah.
Maine. So for Maine to get a 6'3" corner and then maintain that 6'3" corner, and then for FAU to be able to acquire the services of a 6'3" corner, it's definitely a benefit. And I'm trying to think of past FAU corners. Keith Reeser was 6 foot. Cravon LeBlanc was 5'10". So was Dijon Smith. Yeah. Tavius Polo was he might have been like
he's like 6'2".
Was he 6'2"?
Maybe.
He might have been. I'll double check that. But 6'3", it's been a long time. I'll put it this way. If FAU had one, it has been an awful
Maybe he was 6
time.
foot. Hang on.
Yeah, I think he might have been 6 foot. I don't think he was 6'3", because it's been a while since no, he's 5'11". He came in at, so I guess 6 foot. I'm being a little bit of a stickler there, particular. So 6'3", though. I don't know if you guys remember former Dolphins corner Sean Smith, who was a Utah product, who got drafted in 2009, I believe, after Urban Meyer led Utah to a New Year's Day bowl. But he's the biggest corner I've ever seen, and he was like 6'5". And it's hard. It's difficult, though, to find corners that are the size of number one wide receivers, because that's basically what you're talking about size wise. And FAU hasn't been able to get that in a while. They've had mostly corners that are the size of Day Hill. So you match up better against prolific, sizable receiver talent than you have in quite some time, simply because there's Bugs Brown on one side, and then you have the dude running a 4.4 and squatting nearly 500 pounds on the other with his 5'9" frame in Day Hill. So it's definitely talented, certainly talented.
I'm excited, man. We're so close this season. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And then probably the last.
Wait, Robbie. Ken, what are you drinking?
Iced coffee.
Okay.
Iced coffee, a little afternoon treat.
Did not look appetizing.
But probably the other addition on the defensive side of the ball that really stood out to me is pass rush and Wilkie Denard coming over from Auburn and Mississippi State. I think last year, a lot of times defensively, the lack of pass rush hurt the overall defense because coverage busted and whatnot. But now they've got this dude in Wilkie off one end who's been he looks the part of an athletic edge guy who's going to go after the quarterback, and he's been doing it in the scrimmages. I believe he had one in the last one, and then they have some younger guys who they've gotten, or not younger but unheralded. Chisholm Ifeanyi came from Shippensburg, but he had a sack in the last scrimmage. He's got a lot of speed, and then August Salvati, who came over from JUCO as well off the edge, got some speed as well. So just some improvements there in that edge room, but I think Wilkie's really going to stand out as the season goes.
I've been fascinated to follow the D-line as a whole, because you now have an individual coach on the inside and you have coaching on the edges. It's not just one singular unit, and then you try to find time in practice to specialize with the pass rushers and then specialize on the big bulk on the interior. Wilkie Denard, you bring him up, Robbie, and I actually covered him in a previous life when he was at John Carroll up in the Treasure Coast, and what an exceedingly talented human being he is. And SEC talent, obviously, applied his path in that conference, but now coming off the edge. And what's funny is if you watch them practice, the ones and the twos, and even at times the threes, are almost interchangeable. They all look the same. They all have similar speed. They're all a certain level of aggressive. There is a depth there that I don't even know if Rock Bellantoni was anticipating having, that has come to fruition here in the fall. And it's been really fascinating to watch. And then on the interior, I think there's just as much depth there as there is on the edges. And I know there's been a lot of hand-wringing, and it's difficult to replace a 350-pound behemoth like Evan Anderson was. But as far as athleticism is concerned and strength is concerned, and ability is concerned, FAU along the defensive front, as long as injuries don't ravage that, and I think they're built depth-wise to be able to withstand that to an extent, there's some really good stuff potentially coming out of there.
Yeah. No, it's good to hear you talk about the depth, because I thought I was just, maybe just like ignoring the fact. But like,
no, it's there.
But like, there is a ton of depth all over the team. And it's like, when I first came to camp, I'm like, how are they going to use all this talent? They're just going to interchange them. I think that's really going to help depth and injury resistance. Is they're going to not have to play the same defensive tackle a majority of the downs and then have his knees get wearing out. Like that, it's going to be really. We're going to see a more healthy team this year, I think, for FAU, which is very important.
Do you think that there's any areas where we haven't filled in some gaps that we might be a little weak?
That's a good question. I think maybe, I mean, especially now with the injury to Scarlett Jean at offensive line, maybe they could have possibly brought in another piece at the like an interchangeable piece between maybe guard and tackle, just for like depth purposes. Maybe a backup center in the scrimmages. There's been a little bit of, you could tell the snaps are a little bit off when Fed's not snapping it. So maybe some more depth behind the offensive line. And I mean, if I'm being real picky, sure, I would have loved them to go get a 6'5" wide receiver who could go beat LaJohntay Wester, but that's not gonna happen. I think they attacked wide receiver in a great way with a lot of depth, but maybe some more offensive line depth. I think that would have been. I feel like
line at the G5 level is probably the hardest.
Well, and that's
hardest thing to fill.
Birdman, you're spot on there. And
there's only so many 300-pound, 6'4" guys out there that could also move. Right. You know,
This is not just exclusively to FAU.
It's the whole G5.
But it's also most of the power football as well. You ask any coach, and they'd say, "Yeah, I wish we're a little deeper along the O-line. I wish
everyone wants the 6'6", 350 guy that could block and move and run and pick up a fumble.
And especially in this era of the transfer portal, because in
O-line,
in O-line is always going to be best when it's allowed time to gel over a couple of years. Right. And there are maybe a handful of programs in the entire country that any longer will ever get that benefit. Ever. So would you like some more depth on the O-line? Yeah. And Ed Warner would like more depth, and Tom Herman would like more depth, and Charlie Fry would like more depth. But you know who else would like more depth?
The quarterback.
Even someone like Kalen DeBoer would like more depth on his O-line at Alabama. So you just need to overcome it. This is where Cam Fancher's importance comes into play, because you do have a guy, if it takes a little bit, and let's be realistic, it's going to take a little bit for the O-line to continue to meld. It's going to take a little bit for the offense to the defense probably going to have to shoulder a little bit of this for the first month of the season or so. That's just like common sense thought, right? So having a magician back behind center, as long as the O-linemen can maintain their blocks and not hold, that gives you a little bit of a cushion to allow yourself to get comfortable, because you have guys maybe playing where they haven't played a majority of snaps before, whether it's at tackle or it's at guard. You know what you're going to get at center from Federico. But other than that, you need to allow these guys to be able to grow comfortable at full speed. But that's everybody. So Fancher is certainly a benefit from that perspective. And if CJ Campbell and Jabari Mobley can get things rolling well, and it's why a couple of days ago I said that maybe even more so than Fancher, the running back room is the most important element of this offense, at least getting going right away. Because if you have already 25, 30 yards per game from Cam Fancher on the ground, and then you're able to add in another 60 or so with your running backs and come close to 100 each time you take the field, guaranteed. After that really was a struggle. You missed 106 12 games last year. You're automatically in a much better position than you were in 2023.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think with FAU now, the next step is just Michigan State preparation. They can't worry about the depth. They can't worry about any of that anymore. I mean, now they just got to go all full gear towards Michigan State, which is really coming up fast. It's going to be here next week.
I looked at the line on that yesterday. It's 11 points.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is with Michigan State,
for those that pay attention to that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, Mike's the degenerate gambler of the.
No, I'm not, and I'm not. I'm
as the play-by-play voice of FAU, I do not condone those activities. But if you do, more power to you.
I'm not, but you always look, right? You always look because the books are so good, right? So you kind of look, and that kind of, you know, obviously you look at it because it levels the playing field a little bit.
I glance, and then what I do is I read my Bible.
Yeah, I mean, it's rat poison, 11 points of rat poison. I'm sure that's what Michigan State is saying. Because they know, I mean, they're new. Just like FAU is got some new pieces. Michigan State a little bit more new because Jonathan Smith coming in his first year there, and their quarterback is in his first year as a starter. He's 18 years old. He'll be 18 when the season starts. So he's a young guy. He played in 4 games last year at Oregon State. Now he's the true freshman or redshirt freshman starter at Michigan State, and he's a captain as well. So he's got that leadership side to him. Dual threat quarterback for them as well. So some real similarities. The only thing is Aiden Childs, Michigan State's quarterback, has not played or not started a game before, and Cam Fancher's got 2 years of starting under his belt. So a little interesting there. A lot of new going on. I think with a freshman quarterback there for Michigan State, I think it's a chance for the defense to attack them. I don't know what you guys think.
I know we got Michigan State coming up, but what game are you looking forward to the most?
Ooh, Michigan State, one game at a time.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I know, but
USF on Friday night. What kind of question is that? Of course it's USF.
Ken, that's a homecoming, right?
Yeah,
did you know that?
Of course it is. Of course,
incredible.
Of course, that's the one I'm looking for. Again, the newest members of the Big Ten. Just ask him. USF. That is the one that I'm looking forward to. Yeah,
November 1st, 7:30.
Or the ACC, whatever.
Yeah,
it changes by the week. Them in Memphis.
it just listen. I'll believe any of that when I see it. Okay, I'll believe any of Memphis.
Penny Hardaway got robbed at his house the other day.
He got his shoes stolen off his porch.
20 pairs of one-off foam posits. I
Got
don't know what a foam posit is, but it doesn't sound like something I would wear. But they're probably pretty valuable.
These are like his things. They're like specially made for him.
And I like Penny Hardaway. Don't get me wrong. He was like one of my favorite players as a kid, right?
Yeah, and I feel badly for him. Like, I don't there's nothing lamer. If you're going to commit a crime, there's nothing lamer than picking off something from somebody's porch after an Amazon delivery.
I love those videos of like the thieves and the guys booby trap their porches and stuff for them. Have you ever seen that?
No,
but I get it.
You gotta check that out.
It's just so
I feel like that's a Memphis thing with the I don't know. We haven't heard about that down here.
No, trust me, there's a lot of it down here. Just watch any Miami television and
there's tons of videos of people getting their porches robbed of Amazon packages.
Yeah,
and thieves get creative. They come up with like this, they disguise themselves as like bushes and stuff.
It's just so lame.
They creep up on the house wearing a box or a fire hydrant costume or something.
So yeah, like that sucks. I saw that and I'm like, man, one, it's annoying, and if I'm Penny, which he did, I'm going straight to the police. When we're talking, it was like 120 pairs of shoes. So like, of course I'm angry about that. But as far as what I'm looking forward to, surely USF. I think Army is fascinating. I don't love the fact that that's a home opener. I don't love the fact that that's a conference opener, because that's a really, really tricky conference opener to begin with. But as far as Michigan State is concerned, Aiden Childs, dual threat quarterback, it's the way he plays is not unlike a lot of what FAU sees in the American, these dual threat quarterbacks. I think he's probably similar to Byron Brown, the way he plays, though Byron Brown has more experience. But Aiden Childs is a pretty big body doing the same things that Byron Brown does. And by that, I mean a little bit girthier, a little bit thicker, maybe a little bit tougher to bring down. And it's going to be quite a task to neutralize him. But this FAU defense, and especially up front with how they've improved athletically, I do think this defense has a better chance to contain someone like Aiden Childs, at least from the standpoint of keeping check of him and being able to account for him. He still might go off, but you can account for him a little easier than you would last year based on the athleticism that you have up front. But the linebackers are going to have to be active. Jackson Ambush, Des Tisdall, they're going to have to be sideline to sideline. And then the safety play is going to be extremely important. And you have a new safety, a captain, Jaden Williams back there, captain in this entire ship. And it's going to be CJ Hurd, who is going to be baptized by fire immediately as well. It's all hands on deck to account for Aiden Childs.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting thing because Michigan State that this is like their game. They're seeing their guy they haven't had like a quarterback like that since Connor Cook was their last really good quarterback, but they haven't had a dual threat guy in a while either, and so their nation is excited about it, and so it's kind of his debut for them. So if he goes in there and struggles, that's not going to be good for the Michigan State fan base. So there's a lot riding on this game for like the Michigan State side of things where FAU can kind of just go in there, play their game. There's a lot riding on it for FAU too, but it's like that's where they kind of get that advantage. They go in there, they're kind of forgotten about, and they go in there and then they make it a close game. And all of a sudden it's the fourth quarter and Aiden Childs has got to put together a big drive to come back. So
it would be great to be able to keep it close. I think a successful showing there in Michigan State would be anything under 2 touchdowns, Well, for sure. It's going to be a huge crowd. It's going to be like that.
Oh yeah, it's going to be 70,000. It's going to be Friday night.
That Power 5, crowd and in a huge stadium. It's going to be loud.
Birdman, the last time FAU played at Michigan State, not against Michigan State, but at Michigan State. No, it was the last time they played Michigan State.
Didn't we play them in Detroit?
Yeah, in 2010. By the way, quick plug for Atlantic Boys
Remember
podcast.
In the D?
The Spartans in the D. I'll have a complete podcast telling the story of how the hell that happened on the Florida Atlantic Boys coming up next week.
Can't wait for that one.
Talked with our old friends Dexter Lamont and Terry Mahajer for this one. Now UCF AD. Who was the quarterback for Michigan State the last time that FAU played them in 2011?
Ooh.
I heard this the other day. I forgot.
I can't remember, man. Who is it, Ken?
It is Atlanta Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
FAU had one first down in that game. One first down in that game. It happened in the third quarter. It was Xavier Stinson, former fullback, a 14-yard gain. What did he do at the end of the play? Coughed it up, scooped up, brought back for a touchdown. That was the only first down of the day for FAU. And it led to 6 for Michigan State in a 44-0 loss. I think that August 30th is going to go a little bit better for this iteration of FAU.
It has to. I remember the 2011 was a rough year.
Thank God for Alfred Morris.
Oh, no fullback in this offense, so at least that won't happen. We can guarantee no fullback football.
Yeah, the one guarantee we can make is that a fullback will not be featured in an FAU uniform.
Yeah, no. But kind of going back to what Birdman was saying, this schedule that looking at it, probably the game I'm looking at the most is either that North Texas game at home or UTSA game on the road, because that's kind of like the meat of the schedule. They open up, they go the 2 games before that are Wagner and UConn, then FIU before that, and then Army and Michigan State to start the year. So they go like that, and then they play North Texas at home and UTSA on the road. Those are 2 tough games. North Texas at home being a little bit easier, but they're still difficult. So
North Texas is usually pretty solid. They're pretty solid. The UTSA, they're a real group of 5 power, actually.
That's where I want to see FAU.
You can't sleep on them. And that's actually the game I'm looking forward to the most. The road game, at least, that I'm looking forward to the most is the UTSA game.
It's a statement game. It's a chance for FAU to go out there.
100%. And that actually happens to also be my birthday weekend.
Well, happy early birthday.
And you know what else? We're having a party out there in San Antonio, Ken, and you're invited.
All right, I'll be there.
You're invited too, Robbie.
All right, I'll be
I don't know if you're old enough to drink.
You're UTSA or San Antonio, by the way, really sneaky, awesome city. I'm a huge fan.
My favorite city in Texas, 100%, and my favorite Mexican restaurant in the country is in San Antonio.
Nice.
And my wife was kind enough to plan something there on the Friday night.
Well, now
Friday night before the game.
I was going to be wishy-washy about hanging out with you for your birthday, but now that a Mexican restaurant is involved, then I'm absolutely in. You can go ahead and write down my name.
My birthday, Ken. You could sell me out any other day of the year, and I know you do.
It does make me miss El Paso, which I think is one of the most underrated cities in the country. Getting there is a pain, but I loved going to El Paso because it's so different and the food is so good. San Antonio is along those lines. The next best thing if El Paso is not there at your disposal. But as far as games to look forward to, I'm not gonna mince words. I cannot wait for November 1st when USF comes to our erector set to see if they can make up 40 points on FAU in one off season. I just
not happening.
I'm sorry.
It's
all
not happening.
The talk and all the bravado and all the nonsense and all the delusion, bring it across the state and let's do this thing again. Because I know last time that was not a game and it was over after a quarter and a half.
That was a legit drubbing. And even as a fan who traveled to an away game, I got bored. I got bored of scoring.
There's just so much talking. So come back to the erector set and let's go. Let's play some football.
Yeah, and I just want to say, really shout out to FAU media food in that game because they'll give you barbecue. USF guys coming. We got I think we got turkey sandwiches and a little box with some chips. So FAU media food will blow them out of the water for sure.
I will say though, and I don't know what their new stadium, their Taj Mahal of a stadium. Their words are going to feature from a media perspective press box, but Raymond James. Pretty sick.
It is. No, that was sick. No, but I went there and I was like, oh yeah, we're at the football stadium. We're gonna get some crazy media meal. I don't know. I'm excited. At least some good cookies. No.
Can I tell you a story real quick about Raymond James and about food in the press box? So one, you got to cover a Bucks game because the spread is phenomenal. Yeah. But I in 2007 covered the Outback Bowl between Tennessee and Wisconsin. And so Outback, as you can imagine, the media meal was awesome. And what they did is they gave I'm not joking, gave every individual media member to their seat, they delivered a bloomin' onion. Oh. Okay? And I bleep you not. This is God's honest truth. I'll grab that Bible that I read from every time I read a gambling line in college football. Yeah, I'll put my hand on this Bible, okay? And there was a media member, a newspaper writer from the Tampa area who, upon the bloomin' onion being delivered to his seat, broke out in tears. Not because the onions were affecting him, but because he was so happy that he got his own bloomin' onion while covering a football game. That was one of the most, it was heartwarming, but also one of the most pathetic and sad things I've ever seen. And it only reinforced how slovenly and gross a lot of media members are in the sports realm because of free food. That is, it's an assessment of sports media that is absolutely correct. They love free food. And it was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, but it happened. And it always, every time I think of Raymond James Stadium, I never forget the newspaper writer who cried upon a bloomin' onion being delivered to his seat.
He wept on it. I had a blooming onion a couple weeks ago with Katie, and you know what? It was really disappointing. Granted, it was at a Texas Roadhouse and not at an Outback.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. On that one. I don't know.
I kind of feel dirty after eating it, to be honest.
I don't know about tears, but I'm definitely a little emotional when FAU brings out the bunk cakes. I'm like, oh man, it's that time.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Those bunk cakes are good. Nothing beats a Chartwell's cookie though. Oh my god.
No, those are goated too.
Those are like Jesus droppings.
Jesus droppings. Oh man.
All right, Mike. We're running out of time here, so I kind of wanted to touch on basketball a little bit before we get on out of here. So what?
I love basketball. I love basketball.
You've been around the team more than me and Ken have been. I mean, I don't know about Ken, but I haven't been there much.
No, he has.
So, Mike, what's been going on at the hoops facility?
I have to be honest. I haven't been to as many practices as I have in the past because my actual work schedule is during the day and they practice at noon. So I have been able to take some lunches and go check them out, dude. They're surprisingly good for a team that is essentially 99% new. They got height. We're a really, really tall team.
They're freakishly long. It is
freakishly long.
It's almost off-putting how long they are. Yeah.
We have wings.
Yeah.
We have centers. We have guards. We have 1 through 5. It's going to be a really, really fun team to watch. And I think we're anchored by Baba Miller for sure. He could play 5. He could play dunker. He could play outside. He's got an awesome 3-ball. Just watching these guys practice, they can shoot. And I haven't been to a lot of practices or as many
they're
as
going to hit open shots, and they do shoot mid-range. They don't just settle for threes all the time. And you remember last year, Robbie, I mean, Birdman, you know, too, with the switching defenses that we played, how many teams opted to dribble to within 15 feet and pop mid-ranges in our eye all season long?
They had to. They had no choice. Yeah.
Right. And so I think that our offense getting to a point where they're comfortable taking mid-range, because there were not, maybe BJ and maybe Jalen Gaffney were comfortable taking mid-range shots. Nobody else was. But Ken Evans, Kiki Tandy, Baba, these guys will all take mid-range jumpers if the defense gives it to them, as opposed to sitting 26 feet away and chucking. So I think that's extreme, and they're going to hit them. Like, that's extremely important.
I think we have the opportunity to score a lot more than we did last year too. I think we're going to be running up 100-point games more regularly. I think the offense is going to be faster paced, and I think they're just going to be going for buckets constantly.
You mentioned the length. I think, you know, last year that was like, I really thought that was really what FAU was missing, to have, you know, another repeat season of the previous year. They didn't have that length down low, among other things. They're, you know,
Brandon Weatherspoon's playing the 4 a good portion of the year. That's not.
But that's like, yeah, and so that's just like, they needed like a Caleb Glenn. The Caleb Glenn on last year's team would have been huge. And so now, and so
you want to talk about freak athlete? Caleb Glenn is a freak.
He's a little raw.
I saw him catch a lob, like I've never seen before. Like 4 feet above the basket. It probably wasn't that high, but it was just.
I'm telling you, like, with all the attention,
that guy is a freak, and his work ethic is insane. I live near the university. I see him running all the time.
Yeah,
like, he's always running.
With all the attention Baba's going to get, Cade Glenn, even while he's still trying to grow into himself and grow into his game, but he's going to get a lot of opportunities to score because he is an elite athlete. I mean, like upper echelon elite athlete at that 3-4 spot.
Yeah, with FAU, I'm interested to kind of see how the rotations work out, because there's a lot of guys who can probably play.
I think the coaching staff is interested in that too right now.
Yeah. So I'm sure they're going. That's going to be the big question mark. Is, you know, I'm sure there's guys who won't get as much playing time as they could. I wonder how the whole, you know, gelling as a team aspect is going right now. And I mean, that when we talked to Jacobs when he first got here, that was like the last thing he seemed concerned about, was getting his guys to gel. So we'll see how that ends up going. But, you know, if they do gel, I think this could be another successful year for FAU hoops. Depending on
I mean, the non-conference is, you've got Indiana State, you've got UCF. We just found out today the brackets for the Charleston Classic. So you're going to play Oklahoma State first up. You've obviously got Liberty and College of Charleston in the field of 68. Florida Gulf Coast coming in. So this is a non-conference where you could make a significant impact before the conference season starts if you can check off a couple of those games, especially against the high majors. It's set up extremely well. And I also know that the reason that the non-conference schedule is not out yet for FAU is that they're trying, and it might not come to fruition, but they're trying to maybe find one more high major to stick on the schedule. So
they're hard to find. They're hard to find. I don't think teams want to really play us, man. They risk an early season loss.
But I also think now
we're dangerous. We have a dangerous team right off the bat just by looking at names.
So. Right. But I think the reason that some teams are going to start scheduling us more, those high majors, is because more and more coaches are understanding how significant, with some of the new parameters that the committee is using, including wins over bubble, which is a new consideration, which is big. FAU is always going to be, even if they're they're maybe not top 40 in the RPI, they're going to be in a good spot with that wins against bubble category. And so I think more and more coaches are realizing, you know, we got to schedule some of these mid majors, because one, FAU is no longer going to kill us if we lose to them. We're a less risky proposition now for power, especially following up 2 years ago with last year. There's some consistency there. It's not, our season tanks if you lose to FAU. It's an actual good resume win, and then it's a loss that you can overcome. So I think that's
it's a potential quad one loss.
Yeah, so it's going to make our schedule a lot easier to put marquee names on it moving forward.
Yeah.
We open the season though in probably one of the worst facilities I've ever seen. Ken says he's seen worse. So I mean,
yeah, listen, just because it doesn't look big and because it's a high school gym doesn't mean it's not awesome. Let me just tell you something real quick. So, one, this facility is brand stinking new. Yeah. All right, shiny, brand new. Just put it up. Yeah, there's only like 200, 300 seats in this place, maybe. That doesn't matter, though. To me, playing there is better than playing in a ballroom. Oh, but Ken, Bahia Mar, you're in the Bahamas, but you're playing in a ballroom, and you've got high school football bleachers that have been put up around this court. Like, that's not basketball. You've got a ceiling that's like
we're playing in a football stadium with a curtain.
For me, FAU played in Hawaii to start the 2016 basketball season. In the, what was it? It was the Diamond Head Classic. And so went out there, and the first two games they played at this junior high, and the court was awful. There were divots in it. It was dirty. It was a mess. And then they got to play Hawaii at their gym, which was significantly nicer. I'm telling you, like, this place is awesome. Just because it's small doesn't mean that it's not good. And a lot of these non-conference tournaments, like, this is where they're played. So I wouldn't get caught up in the pictures of it. I think that it's actually, in the athletes in action, this is their building. This is their venue, and this is their new court. And John Jacobs has a long history, athletes in action. It's how he got into international basketball, which then led him back to the States, and how he met Joe Mazzulla, and what got him to this point. So athletes in action called. They wanted to do this thing, brand new facility. John Jacobs, it was a no-brainer, saying, yep, we're going to go play. I owe a lot of my career to you, and we'll feature the basketball team here. But I promise you, Robbie, it's not going to be a bad experience, because that facility looks like it's really, really, really nice.
So I
think basketball in a smaller gym is actually a little bit better. Yeah. Basketball is like an intimate thing. You put it in a little box like this. It's 15 guys. It's like a handful of coaches. It's not like this big production where you need an entire airplane to move the team around.
Right. It's 94 feet baseline to baseline. It's 10-foot rims. Let's go hoop. Let's play Indiana.
I love it. No, I love it. And I love the connection there with Coach Jacobs has with the whole thing. It's gonna be great. It's a great way for him to start his coaching career with FAU, and hopefully we bring a win back, right?
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's a big one. Indiana State.
That's a big one right there. St. Louis.
Start the season off. I mean, you get a win versus a potential.
Or Indiana State, rather. Indiana State.
Well, their coach went to St. Louis.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how that. We'll see if they can get that first game of the year. I think that sets the season off on kind of a right foot.
For sure, 100%. Then we come home and have some nice home games, get a big crowd there, get people excited again, and then boom, the momentum's there. I can't wait for basketball. I'm really looking forward to football, but I cannot wait for basketball.
Well, how about the fact that the Field of 68 and then the Charleston Classic are in back-to-back weekends? So the basketball team is just going to stay in Charleston for 12 straight days. They're not going to come home. There are worse places to hang out in for 12 days in the non-conference than Charleston, South Carolina. So
not bad, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I have a feeling they'll find plenty of good cuisine, and there's plenty to do, and they're able to kick their feet up. It's a good place to be for 12 straight days there.
I got a question, Ken. Are you staying with them for 12 days?
Not consecutively, no. So that's where this is one of the interesting parts of basketball now being a power, is that didn't have to ever worry about these non-conference tournaments juxtaposition against the football schedule. But here's my issue. Right, Field of 68. I can do the first game that we play in the Field of 68, but the Saturday game I cannot, because play in Philadelphia against Temple. And then the next weekend, it's going to be Thursday, Friday, Sunday in that Charleston Classic. So Thursday, Friday should be okay, but play football at home against Charlotte. So I don't know if I can get back to South Florida, call that game, then get back to Charleston, depending on what time you play. Like last year, for example, it was a similar situation with Orlando. Played Thanksgiving Thursday, played on Friday. I took a flight out Friday after beating Texas A&M to meet up with football at Houston, called the Rice game, but because it's Orlando, I'm able to fly back on the football team charter, get in my car at FAU, and then drive right up to Orlando for the championship game against Virginia Tech. I'm not going to have that luxury this time. So we'll have
I remember that. You felt like someone important. I remember that.
Yeah. So we'll see. I've performed some travel miracles in the past, the rare times that there were some conflict, but now that basketball is being invited to these really, really legit non-conference tournaments, it's the CTEs. It's definitely a little bit of an issue with the travel. So we'll see. But football's the priority. We'll figure it out. Everything's going to be on the Florida Atlantic Sports Network, but might just not be me for select basketball.
Well, we'll get by. It won't be the same. Maybe Elon Musk could come up with an AI LaVicka before.
You better get moving.
Then we just plug you into the wall, and you can call
my hologram. Yeah, my hologram. Yeah. Now, because I'm a sports media member, would my hologram also have the stereotype of desiring free food in the press room? Would that carry over?
I feel like that's the advanced AI. You got to pay more for it. It's like,
that's the upgrade. All right, fair enough. We'll see how much money's in the bank account. Yeah.
I don't know anything about AI, so I don't know how any of that works, but.
I don't know. But what I do know is FAU football kicks off in less than a week. It's going to be exciting. I'm ready for it. Birdman, are you going up to Michigan, Mike?
I'm not. No, we're going to two, maybe three away games. Michigan's not one of them. But I'll be at Army, of course.
At home for the people out there? Where can they watch at home? Where are the alumni?
I don't know. I think keep a lookout for FAU alumni on their social medias. They will definitely be putting out that info.
Yeah, I thought there was. Hold on one second. Let me do a little unprofessional research here on the fly, because I saw something
on the fly. I wasn't prepared for that question. I should know. I hope I don't get in trouble for not knowing.
But it is going to be hilarious if you get
FAU alumni on Twitter, Facebook. They are constantly posting all of their awesome events, and they have a lot of them. If you're not signed up for the alumni emails, FAUalumni.com. And you can get all that information right by there. And of course, you're always invited to stop by the Alumni Center anytime and see the awesome staff there, and get all that information in person.
So here you go, Birdman. I'm going to save you, and you tell Katie that you knew this off the top of your head. Florida Atlantic at Michigan State, FAU alumni at Meisner Park enjoy exclusive discounts at American Social, Yard House, and Sloan's Ice Cream, and enjoy deals on rock and roll tequila and Corona at Meisner Park for FAU and Michigan State on Friday, August 30th. And of course, Mike Birdman knew that. He just announced it here on the podcast.
Ask me again.
Mike, where is the watch party for alumni for FAU and Michigan State?
Ken, I am so glad you asked that. Meisner Park, of course. American Social there. Amazing deals on rock and roll tequila and Corona, and then stop by Sloan's for a little bit of dessert. FAU alumni has you covered. Man,
you actually committed that to memory.
And basketball events.
Yeah, that was good. You committed that to memory extremely quickly. You consumed that well. I'm impressed. And by the way, if you're too caught up with Sloan's Ice Cream and drinking tequila, rock and roll tequila, and down in Coronas, sit on a bench at Meisner Park and fire up the Fox Sports 640 app or listen on Fox Sports 640. You're home for Florida Atlantic football. Myself and Chris Newbold on the call from East Lansing.
Chris Newbold, are you looking forward to kicking off some stuff with him?
Absolutely.
Love Chris. Great guy.
We get to carry on the tradition of my broadcast partner being so much bigger than me. So much bigger than me. Like Bartels was big and thick and girthy, but Newbold is still big and thick and offensive line looking, but he's also really tall.
Chris works everybody, and it's awesome that he's not only played for FAU and graduated from FAU, but he's going to be back on the radio with you, Ken, and he's been going to games, and he's been around. I've seen him at every home football game since. He's
a ticket holder for years since he graduated. So
same with me. I think we graduated the same year.
Well, so we've gotten to the point of my career where, for the first time, my broadcast partner is someone I called all 4 years of his career.
That's awesome.
So if the baldness didn't show it off, I'm definitely up there in age now.
How are you keeping your beard so dark? Can you teach me?
Because I have a grade. It's just I've lost my hair, but I've got good genetics from a just a color standpoint.
I'm getting like the Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos wings here on the side of my head.
It looks refined. It's good. I like it.
There you go.
Robbie, your hair is great. Your hair looks fantastic.
I know. I gotta get some conditioner or something. It's looking a little.
Robbie's. I love running my hand through Robbie's locks.
Hey, you did that at the AAC media on videos. Like, it made for good social medias. Like,
that's so funny. Oh my god!
But hey, so if you're in town, hit up Mike Birdman at American Social. If you're on the road, come find him.
Run his fingers through your hair.
Yeah. Mike might just do that. Actually, you might want to stay
a turtle wax for Ken's hair.
You might want to stay like 10 to 15 feet away.
Distance yourself. Shake his hand and then back away. Yeah.
Like, maybe like a wave from a distance.
Right.
Like, hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into Inside the Burrow. It's been a fun one. Ken Birdman, thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Robbie,
appreciate it, guys.
And we'll see you guys next week, hopefully at Michigan State. Not you though, Mike.
I'm gonna see Ken tonight.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm Robbie the Stella for Mike Birdman and Ken LaVicka. This is Inside the Burrow.